beyond belief. So you are telling me, when I bought a new unit from you, you didn't send me the latest version. You knew that you had a new unit coming. And when we were trying to get this non-working unit to work, and in the end they had to send it back to you, and it took 3 or 4 days for all of this to happen, and then you now are telling me that then you upgraded to the latest version, even though I should at the time have received the latest version. Are you telling me this now?
That's to my recollection.
Could you repeat that properly?
Okay, well, I don't have an invoice to verify exactly what I did. This was 2.5 years ago. I'm working from memory. As I recall, we got the unit, and again, as I recall, if you're recording this, and that's fine.
I am now.
Okay. As I recall, I got the unit. There was an issue with it. I don't honestly remember even what the issue was 2.5 years ago. Came back in, and what I do recall is replacing the entire innards of the unit. I believe one of the reasons that we did that is I made you the offer that we were upgrading it to the latest, as we had just switched over to the newer CPU.
But you know, Richard, I bought this as the latest. I never called you or called the dealer, Maritime Communications in Marina del Rey, to ask for the old unit. I asked for the latest. When you buy a bloody Ford car, you get the latest model. You don't get the model before unless they ask you, we have a new model coming next week. Do you want to wait a week?
And if you were ordering the unit today, and you bought a brand new one today, and we've been in the process, again, we're changing out one of the CPUs in one of our units today, or we've been working on it for 3 months. Perhaps next week you would order a second unit, and the insides would be slightly different.
You know, Richard, I would never buy from you again because I wouldn't trust you. Because you have already sold me something that you already has confirmed, even on tape, that was not the latest unit, even though it was sold as the latest unit. And you already have had it back for refurbishment once. So, of course, I wouldn't be a customer at your shop again.
It came back for repair and upgrade, and I upgraded it for no charge.
It never went back for an upgrade. It went back because it didn't work, Richard. It didn't work. And that is not an upgrade. That is a repair job. And I bought the ECX. I didn't buy any other unit. I did not buy the last year, the model from the year before, etc. I bought in good faith an ECX unit, expecting to get the latest and the best, costing $2,800, and you are now telling me that you sold me a non-working model from last year, and that you kind of took it back and not only repaired but also upgraded, because within the week that took for this to be shipped from Florida to Marina del Rey, not having it work and then being shipped back, you had already upgraded to another type of unit. And you are telling me this, that you upgraded my unit then as a kind favor to me, when you in fact sold me something that you shouldn't have sold.
If you went out and bought a Cadillac today, Eva, and you bought a 2013 model, you might come back and buy one next week, and they're already selling the 2014 models.
Richard, which model did
Are you 2.5 years later going to insist that they give you a brand new 2014
Richard, which model did I buy? Because this conversation is very weird, and
you bought whatever the current model at the time that it was ordered by Maritime. Whatever the current model and configuration we were shipping, that's what you purchased.
And you at that time knew that within a week you're gonna upgrade to a new computer inside it. And you at that time didn't say to Maritime, this is a very expensive piece of kit, we have some improvements, we are waiting a week to ship it to you because we want to include that in the new unit you are buying, because after all it costs $2,800. You didn't tell them that, did you?
Then the person that bought the one before you would be the one that got the last unit.
You know,
who gets the last unit? I mean, how far back do you go? And again, I will say, I have to add, since you're recording this, to the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong even. I'm working from memory 2.5 years. You may have gotten that unit. I may have just replaced the guts with the same latest model.
You know,
I just remember replacing everything for no charge and extending your warranty.
you know, as you know, Richard, when I counted the number of hotspots today, it was 13. Last night it was 13 too, and I'm docked in the middle of Ensenada, a town of approximately 500,000 inhabitants. It's a large city, and I have my unit, my antenna and the amplifier up there 50 feet above the deck of my boat. So it will receive everything that is broadcasted in the vicinity. And as you say, your claim of 12 miles, even a small sniff of that 12 miles, once in a while should reach my unit. It still only pulls in.
They got 15 miles, Eva. Literally.
Yes, but I'm not really concerned about that. I'm concerned about what I have here. I have a unit that doesn't work properly.
Can you hold on for one moment, Eva?
Yes.
Just a moment. I'm just going to take a message here. GSS Solutions. Yes. Yeah, hi, Wayne. I'm waiting for UPS to show up with your unit. Yeah, it should come in whenever we get our delivery. Usually it's by now, but hang on just a sec. Sorry, Eva, just one moment. Oh, it is here. I just have to finish up your router. So, yeah, the unit's here. We've got to get it boxed up and everything, but I still have to complete your router. So maybe about an hour or so if you want to stick to that. Okay. I still haven't got a PO from CY yet, though. Okay. Till 5, but I'm often here later. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Wayne. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Sorry about that, Eva.
How are we solving this?
I'm sorry?
How are we solving this? We have now reached an impasse, sir, and I am extremely annoyed, and I'm still recording. What's your name, by the way, Richard? Just to state that to the tape.
Sure, Richard McLaughlin.
Good. For what company?
GeoSat Solutions.
Okay, so that's okay. How do we solve this now? I will, by the way, This conversation is weird. I will put it on to YouTube and put a link onto Panbo because I think this is weird. And I'm extremely unhappy and extremely annoyed. And annoyed customers are not happy customers.
The one thing I will insist on that if you do that is you put the entire conversation beginning to end on there, because if it's edited and there's anything that
I will take it out.
Represents what I say, you'll definitely hear from the lawyer.
From when I started recording.
Other than that, you have my permission to put the
Richard. From when I started recording, yes, I will of course not edit or cut because that is dishonest. But that's why I had you tell the story over again.
And again, I'm to the best of my recollection. All I have paperwork-wise. I have
also to admit that I think when the seller of an expensive piece of kit starts being the one start talking about the lawyer and not the customer, it is really a weird world we're living in.
I just want to make sure that I've never had anybody that felt the need to record a conversation.
No, because I have never.
And I don't want anything on YouTube that's edited that misrepresents what I was trying to explain. And I feel that anybody that listens to the conversation will agree that I have been very, very accommodating and patient.
Have you? I have a unit that doesn't work properly. I have paid you $2,800.
That was out of warranty a year and a half ago, and I'm offering to warranty it.
You know, Richard, you extended.
Send it to me, and I will fix whatever needs to be fixed.
Richard, you at that time when I bought it extended the warranty. That's why I accepted to take it back and not demand the new one. So that number, a year and a half out of warranty, is not correct. why don't and you keep on talking about your position, not about my position, not about my position as a customer and customer satisfaction. And that is why I want to put this on YouTube. I want people to know that your company doesn't think about customers and customer satisfaction. They think about their position and
person from Pambo will agree that, and any of my customers will agree that, and my dealers, I got over 100 dealers, and they will all agree that we have the best tech support and the best customer support of anybody.
This unit doesn't work. This unit doesn't work. You keep on telling me about your job security, and you haven't yet told me about what you're going to do to the unit that I can say thank you. Because you also, Richard,
I can warranty the unit and replace anything that needs to be replaced happily.
Richard, I have had to live now a couple of years with a unit that was not anything better than my neighbor's unit costing $100 was. And I think that is very annoying to think of. It's kind of like ripping people off in my book. For you to keep on talking about your position in this situation is weird, because you should just get me happy and get a solution.
It's not weird when I have a somewhat limited amount of options and spelling out very clearly what I am able to do.
Yeah, as I have said,
which I think is entirely
I would be very happy to talk to your boss, because obviously your boss is not doing his very good job when it comes to management, and he has imposed too many limitations on your options. So I would very much like to talk to your boss, but you told me he wouldn't talk to me. Isn't that true? Because he doesn't talk to customers. Is that true?
Because he doesn't need to, because I have responsibility for that, and he trusts my judgment.
And your okay, so it is your call. It is not his call.
We're getting nowhere, and rather than have even more ramblings from both of us on YouTube, how about I talk to Mark over at Maritime?
No, you talk to me, and you're gonna spell out the solution to me, and then we can talk to Mark at Maritime.
And I have. Hold on just a moment, Eva, if you would. Here's that solution. Yes, it is. Is it possible for me to call you back in a few months? Yes, it is. Oh, hey, Rusty. How are you? Oh, great. Awesome. Send it back at your leisure, and anything I can do, let me know. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. Sorry, that was one of my happy dealers telling me that everything was good for him, so...
Yes, I have now a diver scrubbing in the bottom of my hull, so the disturbance is the diver scrubbing my hull.
To spell it out once more, what I can do, and am happy to do, is get your unit back with the amplifier, under warranty.
Just a second, just...
Inside or outside the unit that needs to be replaced.
Just a second. Senor? Huh? I want... what is normally the thing that breaks on these units? In my I would assume the Wi-Fi part is what is breaking normally, isn't it?
In my experience with the X unit, 75% of the time we've got a bad connector. We've got moisture in the cable, a kink in the cable, or
no, there's not there. There is nothing of that, because we made sure that everything from bottom to the unit was straight, and all connectors are heat shrinked. Everything is done more than to the book. We used Loctite on the connector on top there, just to make sure it didn't vibrate loose. There is no possibility of that. And you said 75%, so I assume you have some 25% here somewhere.
And that's off the top of my head, but what I imply is that most of the time with an ECX unit, it's an issue with the cable or antenna. Maybe when it was being run, they got a gouge in the cable, a kink, something like that. Even experienced dealers will occasionally do that.
You know, I know that he didn't do that because I was verifying this at all moments, and the mast was on the ground when it was installed, so it wasn't even up in the air. He was working on the ground. The mast was lying flat when he was installing it. He was doing it according to the book, and he had every opportunity to do it by the book because I had to pull the mast to do it. So there's no way, because he didn't want to work up high. So that's why I pulled the mast. And by doing that, I got a more accurate installation, as you know. You can, of course, put the responsibility at Mark and Maritime Communications, but we have a unit that you have had back for repair already once, and it doesn't work properly. And I'm asking you, you being the tech and sales representative I have been told to talk to, how can you solve this? And I don't think it is useful just to start pointing the finger at Mark. But
I'm not pointing a finger at all.
But I would like you to call Ken. Ken is the owner of Maritime Communications, and I would like you to call Ken and tell him of this conversation, and also tell him of your suspicions that Mark screwed up the installation, because I'm going to do that in 5 minutes.
You're twisting my words around. This was my fear. You know, that I suggested the possibility that there might be an issue with the cable and antenna or connectors, and now you're saying that I'm accusing Mark of screwing up the install, which I am not in any means.
No, but you have to see. You have to see. I'm not in this to try to point fingers at anybody. I'm just trying to find a solution that I can be happy with. And you have used so much of this conversation to try to get away from a responsibility that every time you come up with something that could be an alternative.
The possibility that we might have an issue with the unit, even though I really don't think so, but because it came back to you and apparently worked about the same after I tested it and it was 100%. So I'm accepting the possibility there may be a problem with the unit, and I'm offering to.
Did you at that time
under an extended warranty to replace anything that needs to be replaced for free?
How can I? Did you at that time? Did you at that time replace the Wi-Fi amplifying parts, because it has never worked properly afterwards? What I
remember is replacing the entire internals of the unit.
Okay, the entire
because I did not charge anyone for this. There's no invoice.
No,
and it was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and the entire internals of the units.
As I recall, yes.
Okay, and how often does the amplifier up the mast break? Do they at all break? Are there parts in there that can stop working?
Occasionally, like any electronic component, there could have been, lightning issues, bad connections. If the amplifier connections are not perfect, then that will destroy the amplifier.
By the way, Richard, I have been over many years a customer of Apple, and I do buy their Apple Care and so on, and I'm talking to you over an Apple computer now, and there have over the years been quite a few situations where they had to take my computers back for service. Even at one time they gave me a new computer 2 years after I bought the computer that stopped working. For a company to do that, to take responsibility, it's not unheard of. Not even with the large companies. Just to have that on record too, because we are still recording. I'm very unhappy with this, and I'm very unhappy with this conversation.
I'm not terribly happy with it myself, even.
No. You haven't really yet told me anything concrete, do this, do that, and so on.
Any sort of other testing that we could do with the unit would require somebody to go up the mast and check connections and check the amplifier.
That is doable. And what should they test?
First thing I would check is voltage at the amplifier. Verify you're getting that 6 volts going into the amplifier.
That was the run of the cable before we installed was tested several times by Mark. I was present when he did that.
Yep. Now, if it was tested with a reflectometer with the connectors on, we'd be a little more sure that the cable is good, but none of my dealers have those. That's with a high frequency cable for Wi-Fi. A kink in the cable will keep your unit from working properly. If the radius is too tight on a bend, for instance.
No, there is, it goes straight down from the antenna and then into the mast. There is no bend there. It is a small bend, but it's no curl or anything like a twist. We were extremely careful with this when we installed the unit. I was present at all times, and it runs straight down the mast because it was pulled, so you had a full access to the mast.
The slightest bit of moisture or non-perfect connection at any one of those 6 connectors would account for it.
All connectors he put on were heat shrinked. The connector up the mast he also put on Loctite, according to my instructions, because I do not want things to shake loose. Could Loctite do it?
I don't think so.
Do you think
anybody that used it, to my knowledge?
Do you think that maybe Mark was an old man shaking on his hand and the Loctite got all over the place, maybe?
I don't believe that's the case.
No, I don't believe that either. I'm just kind of giving you a rope band to hook onto. You do use them.
But we're not getting anywhere. Let me talk to Mark or Scott or somebody over at Maritime.
How many hotspots in a big city do you think I should have been able to see at all?
With a similar unit here on the roof of my office, I see 110 hotspots.
Yeah, I see.
I can connect to 3 of them, that are unencrypted and within range.
Do you have an email address? I took a screenshot of what I saw, and I can send you that screenshot so you can admire the 13 I have.
Yeah, you're welcome to do that. You got my email, but it's richard@geosatsolutions.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here we are. I even wrote you a letter.
I've got like 6 emails to and from you. I went back and looked when I was waiting for your call back.
Mm-hmm.
From December 2010, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, who should imagine that I should be so happy with this expensive unit?
Eva, I've got probably 6,000 units out there, and almost without fail, every one of my customers is ecstatic with them. If they have a problem, they're ecstatic with our service.
How many of how many?
Will tell you that.
Just for the record, how many ECXs have you sold of those 6,000?
Without looking it up, I'd say probably 300-400. Just guessing.
Yeah, because most people buy your Rogue Wave and Rogue Wave Pro. That is what you sell most of.
That's been available like for a year and a half, 2 years or so for the Rogue. But
yeah, okay. I will. I need to talk to Ken too here because he's the dealer and I don't really get anywhere with you. So I know I will also send him the this conversation so he can listen to it himself. And then we need to discuss what we should do here, because I have a unit that doesn't really work. And
I will fix it for you, Eva.
There is so many things in
the problem with the unit. I will fix it.
I started with computers when I was 12, and I'm 51 now. So I have worked with computers all my life, and there are so many aspects of a computer that can break and can go dud, including the Wi-Fi part. So many things. That's why I'm quite unhappy. Even when you say you're going to test it, because you did test it once, and I'm not saying it has worked any less after I received it. It just has never worked properly. So you have already tested it.
And for what it's worth, if it's working the same way as it was when we sent it back to you, then that leaves cable and antenna issues. Going back to that and passing the buck again, as you'd probably say.
Yes, but that's, I don't really care who's responsible here. I just want the shit to work. then we need to have also include Ken in this discussion. If he needs to come down and verify his installation, because that is part of your claim. So that is probably the first thing here. He has to send down a guy with the proper equipment you talked about. This kind of the spectrometer or whatever for Wi-Fi. You need to ship that to him so he can bring that with him. And
I don't even have one of those, Eva. I have one dealer that I know of that has one of them. They're $10,000. Our dealers don't carry those.
no, I paid $3,000.
And they're generally not necessary. I mean, if there's a problem with the cable, they test it with process of elimination, and if necessary, rerun the cable or put new connectors on it.
You know, I was here when Mark installed the mast. I want to have that on record too. He tested the cable with the equipment he has, which was one of those. He tested the cable several times before the mast was up, after the mast was up, when he installed the plug in the boat that he promptly put on heat shrink. He tested before, after. He tested every part of this, especially because we had already had problems with this unit. That's why he was so conscientious in the installation of it. I have to admit, I don't believe for a second that is where the problem is, because that is just a cable, a fairly dead piece of metal and plastic. I think the problem here is within your unit.
24 gigahertz, it's an extremely high frequency, and just the slightest issue with the cable will keep the unit from working perfectly.
Yes, but we are not talking perfectly even here. We are talking a very pedestrian. To put it bluntly, I'm sending you. I'm just going to see what I wrote. Just a second. Okay, you're receiving an email from you, from me, with the screenshot of what I pulled up of hotspots this morning. And by the way, Ensenada has 700,000 inhabitants. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
And I also tested the hotspots more or less every day and so on. And I had the same 13 last afternoon and also last evening and during the night. Yes, and I'm gonna call Ken now, and then I will take that piece of conversation and put on to YouTube, and I will not link it from Panbo before we have a situation where you are not we are free.
And I don't know if it matters. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not by any means rescinding anything I said in the conversation. But I'm not happy with the bickering back and forth. And
I'm also very unhappy with that. But I
want to go on record that I would appreciate this not being on YouTube. Not because I'm ashamed of anything that I said. I stand by what I said. But there's just too much bickering back and forth, and it sounds like a couple of I won't even say what it sounds like. But
I have been dealing with customer service representatives as most people throughout my life. This is a very special situation. I have never ever before threatened to put anybody on YouTube. And I use Apple as an example of a very good service, and you are selling a very expensive piece of kit, so I would expect that same kind of service from you, but obviously not. That's why I'm using YouTube, because I can hardly believe my own ears.
Well, again, for what it's worth, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if it matters, but I'm going on record as saying I do not want this on YouTube.
Yes, and
and you can take my reasons for whatever you want, but
of course you want to. Of course it does reflect. Of course, this conversation reflects badly on you, Richard. You know that, and I know that. But you will have it on YouTube, and if I don't have a resolution, I will have also links to that bloody conversation.
Okay, well, for what it's worth, I do think it'll show me in a good light, and you as being very uncooperative. That's my opinion of the conversation.
Yes, but you have to see.
I think that any of our customers that heard it would probably have to agree that I've gone above and beyond.
And you have to see, Richard, the thing here, I'm the customer and you are the supplier, not the other way around. I don't need to really approve anything apart from my bank card and that the unit was paid for. You have kind of to live up to your reputation. I don't need to do that. So I don't need to worry about how it represents me. That doesn't concern me at all. Use you because a bad reputation will cost your company money. And I can't really imagine that is...
The lawyers, then I think I would have to say I do not want it on YouTube. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if I can say that, but that'll be on record as well. So.
I don't really think you can probably contact YouTube then later on. But let's do it like this. If I see that we get to a solution that is understandable and within reason and gets my bloody unit to work, I will not put it on YouTube.
Which I have already offered you. And it's kind of blackmail when you say, we're going to put this on YouTube. And yeah, I think quite honestly, you're going to sound on YouTube like you're extremely uncooperative and non-helpful when you're being offered a very reasonable resolution.
But you are listening to yourself now, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I am still the customer, and you are still the supplier of a very expensive piece of equipment.
And I'm offering, I've offered 18 times already. I don't even need to repeat the offer. I'm offering to again extend the warranty. It's 2.5 years now since you bought the unit.
It was extended when I already received it repaired the first time. It was extended. That's why I received it then at that time.
And I'm increasing the extension.
Mm-hmm,
regardless, this will be 2 times that I've offered to extend the warranty.
Why don't we say it like this, Richard? I am not putting it on YouTube for now. I'm going to keep the conversation in my iPhone. But I want to have a unit working. If you end up, and if that means I in the end has to ship it back to you, no problem. But when I have it back, it should work as good as the bloody unit you have in your office.
If the unit were to come to me today and I tested it and it's working 100%, there's nothing I can do but send it back the way it is, knowing that there's something else that's responsible.
That's why we need to talk with Ken too.
But what I cannot do is throw a brand new unit, replace a 2.5-year-old unit.
You know, the amazing...
Either have a minor problem that would be easily fixed, or that may well turn up that it comes back and there's no problem at all.
You know, just for the records, that is what Apple did when they couldn't fix my computer. And they just did that to keep me a happy customer, because happy customers happen to come back and buy more stuff from them. But that is as it is. I know your position now. So I will call Ken now immediately when we hang up, and tell him of your claim that it is probably the antenna that doesn't work, and hear what he suggests we should do.
Have him give me a call.
I think you can call him yourself.
I can call him right now if you like, or I'll let you talk to him first.
Give me 10 minutes, and then you can call him, and you will quickly hear whether he's busy on his phone or not. Okay?
Alrighty.
Bye.
Maritime. Good morning, Maritime, I should say.
Good morning, Ken. Is that you?
It is me.
It's Everett Ransford. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. I have...
Where are you hiding?
Ensenada.
I didn't hear you in the last transmission.
Ensenada, Mexico. Ensenada.
Oh, gosh, good.
I have problems with the Wi-Fi equipment I bought from you. The Wave. It doesn't pull up much. I have sent you an email with a screenshot taken this morning that shows in the center of Ensenada I can only pull in 13. I have had a long conversation now with Richard McLaughlin at Geotech Solutions, the manufacturer, and he is rather unhelpful and says 75% he's certain that Mark did a faulty installation.
Huh, that's right.
Yes, that's why I'm calling you, because you were the dealer and also the installer. Couldn't you talk with him and tell me how we proceed? I have to admit, when I have been dealing with computer issues before with Apple and so on, I have never ever had a reason to complain. This is the first time I put on my iPhone and recorded the conversation because it was so weird. His position is that he can't do this, he can't do that, and so on. And I'm very unhappy. Just put it like that. Okay. It's a very expensive piece of kit, you know. And I haven't noticed this before, but now I suddenly have two neighbors, one with a Rogue Wave Pro and one with a Bullet. The Bullet cost $98 and the Rogue Wave Pro $450. And suddenly I realized they were pulling in much more hotspots than I did. Among others, Starbucks down here downtown Ensenada, and I can't see that. I have never seen Starbucks, and I realized that my piece of very expensive equipment is really just a piece of crap. And I called them to kind of get...
There's something wrong.
I know there's something wrong, and you know, when it was sold to me, you had to send it back because it didn't work at that time.
Yeah, correct. We did have there was a fault at that time. Correct?
Yes, and he claims that at that time I had not bought the latest unit, so he was so kind at the time that he even upgraded this unit to the latest, as if I would at all pay $2,800 for the last year's model. I can't understand how he even can get himself to say these things. I feel very much he is just backtracking and just not trying to be very helpful. I'm very upset. I'm very saddened.
Well, we want you happy, of course, because everything we've tested, the Rogue Wave Pro has been the most successful for the least amount of money.
I know.
We've got systems that cost $1,000, $2,000, and more, and this always seems to outperform it. Scott, who actually put him on his boat, and he lived on his boat. He's taken it all over Catalina and everywhere, and that always is the outperformer. That's why we like it, because we get the best results for the least amount of money.
I know, and I bought a kit that costed $2,800. And then I pulled the bloody mast, another $1,500, and then of course I had to pay for Mark II to install it, so it cost nearly $6,000 this unit from the same company, and it is as pedestrian as something I should buy from Amazon costing $100.
Well, of course that was some time ago too. There are other products that have changed things too, but that was definitely the best thing at the time. There's no doubt in my mind.
Not me either, and because I accept to take the unit back and not demand a new one, they gave me an extended warranty, and he has accepted that it is on warranty still. But then it becomes quite weird. I have to admit that I'm not anymore too happy having things fixed.
Yeah, sure, of course. Let's find out where the problem is at first. But you said you did talk to Richard, is that correct?
Yes, and he was, I would say, not very helpful at all. So now I'm putting it to you. I'm still within reach of LA, even though it would be a bloody full day for a worker to come down here. I'm just at my wit's end. What should I do here?
Okay, I don't have an answer right yet. And Mark has retired. He had retired here several months ago.
I know, and I also was present when Mark installed the antenna. Mark tested this antenna very many times. I was present when the most conscientious worker I've ever had on my boat, when he installed this. I know in my heart that he did nothing wrong.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with Mark's work. It is faultless. I saw it. I know Mark, and I saw his work, and I know I was present when he kept on testing because he was so concerned, because it was the second time we installed the unit. He wanted to make sure that nothing he did would damage or impede the unit.
Sure, I understand that. Okay, let's back up a second. What are your symptoms that you're experiencing now? What's the most obvious symptoms that you have now?
Could you open your email? I sent you an email. In that email is a photo taken from my computer this morning, and you see I have 13 hotspots.
I see it. There it is.
I spoke with Richard McLaughlin, and he says where his office is, he's receiving 150 hotspots. And the people having Rogue Wave Pro or any other cheapo equipment receive much more hotspots than I do. That is what I have. I have a unit that doesn't work properly. You know, also the claim of Richard is that my unit should receive hotspots up to 12 miles offshore. When we went offshore together with Scott and Mark to test that, we only got I think it was 3 or 3.5 miles or 4.5 miles of reception, or was it a mile and a half? I can't remember. It was way shorter than their claim.
We've never seen 12 miles of anything. So.
No, but that is I would say into hinterland. That is into the fantasy world, and but still, I am in the middle of a city with 700 inhabitants. And there are hotspots more or less in every apartment these days, and I still can only see 13 of them. something is wrong.
Okay. Well, let's look into it and find out. I'll see if I can.
And remember, this is a hotspot that was. They claimed was a military standards, costing me $2,800 plus a couple of nearly $3,000 in installation here. It is a very expensive investment. Yeah, it's a very, very, very large investment for me. So keep that in mind too.
Okay. Well, what's your best? Well, we can communicate by email too. And so you're down in Ensenada at the moment.
Could we do it like this? I don't have a phone anymore because I do all my phoning on Skype. So you send me an email and I call you back.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to work on this and I'll get back to you.
I prefer not to deal with Richard anymore. But I have recorded his conversation, also this conversation, and I've told him that if he can't get a solution, I'm going to put that conversation onto YouTube and link it from Panbo, because I have never met any as inept customer service treatment before in my life.
That's unfortunate. I don't understand that, because they're a small company that. I've met them at boat shows and things.
He keeps telling me that if he does this or does that, he will get fired. And I said, couldn't I then talk to your boss then? Because he must be the one that could. Okay, no, he would not talk to you. He's in the Bahamas.
That's all the wrong answers. That's not right.
So I am extremely unhappy, Ken. Extremely unhappy.
Sure.
I'm very sad of this. I'm very saddened of this. And
let me talk to my friend, the West Coast rep here, who handles that line. I'll let him know what the situation is. And,
I just want to confirm, I'm very happy with everything I've bought from you, apart from this, and every piece of work Mark and your company did for me, I'm very happy with. I see you as friends and as the most trustworthy people.
Thank you.
But I am very unhappy with this situation. And this has nothing to do with... I know that you have not... This is not anything of your making, but it is... That company is the weirdest company I have ever dealt with.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let me... I'm sure you can hold of Mark later today. I will do so. And see if I can reach him. We'll leave him a message. And then... I'll talk to the rep as well, and we'll get some answers here to your satisfaction.
Yeah. Also, I think Richard is calling you also.
Okay, good. I'll talk to him as well.
Thank you very much, Ken, and all the best to you. I hope you're well.
Okay, good to talk to you.
You too.
Okay, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.